play when you were a kid, the old games?
Yeah, I used to love it, so it's pretty cool to see it back, you know.
Yeah. When you first got to play as Purdue and as yourself, what was that like for you?
It's pretty surreal just because, you know, seeing yourself on a video game is different than, you know, something that I've experienced. So it was pretty cool to see and pretty cool to play with, you know, your teammates and everything like that.
I was going to ask, are a lot of guys on the team playing?
Yeah, you know, especially when it first came out the next day, we got in the locker and, you know, everyone was talking about it, so it was pretty funny.
And I know, preseason predictions have, a limited meaning, but when you see that Purdue is ranked 18th and it's kind of across the board, what was your reaction to that?
Yeah, you know, I think, you know, with social media, good or bad, I try to, you know, not think about it or, you know, too much, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, obviously you see it, and, you know, I think it's just, you know, more fuel to the fire for us to, you know, prove everyone wrong. But again, whether it's good or bad, I honestly try to stay away from that stuff as much as possible.
Was there a conversation that got started after that, either from Coach Walters, from players passing it around? Has that motivation already started?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, individually you see it, and then it's been, you know, brought up a couple times in our building. But, you know, again, I try to stay where my feet are, you know, try to focus on what I can do to best, you know, help the team win. And, you know, whether people say we're going to win the conference or lose the conference, that doesn't change the way that I'm going to attack the day. And, you know, ultimately I'm just going to try and prove people wrong.
What's the vibe that you're feeling right now with, camp being on the verge? Like, how does it feel around the team? What is kind of the atmosphere?
No, it's great. You know, I really do feel really good about where we are right now. You know, we got some key guys back, and then we got some key guys through the portal and whatnot that are really going to help us out. And, you know, this is one of the tighter locker rooms that I've been a part of, and that goes a long way, especially when you're on the game field on Saturday. So I think we're in a great spot right now, and I feel good about it.
Can you say some of the things that surprised you in the Big Ten after being in the Big 12 playing at Texas? What did you find out after Purdue?
That's a good question. You know, I think, you know, the Big Ten is one of the best, you know, conferences, you know, in college football, especially with the addition of, you know, the 4 teams that came in. So you get to play, you know, the best competition week in and week out, which, you know, as a competitor, you want to play the best. So, you know, you get an opportunity every week to go out there and play against the best and, you know, try to win those games. So.
Do you ever talk to any of the past Boilermaker quarterbacks like Aiden O'Connell or maybe even Drew Brees? Do they reach out to you and give you some advice, or do you try to pick their brain about anything?
Yeah, every once in a while. You know, having, you know, those guys before me, you know, kind of lead the way and set the path. You know, they set a high standard, and, you know, as a quarterback, you know, you want to be a part of something like that. So it's pretty special, and you know, those are guys that I know if I texted them, you know, they would reach out and you know, have advice for anything that I want. So to have those guys, you know, in my corner is pretty special.
How much do you know about the great little quarterbacks? Like, I know you know it generally. Is something you've studied, looked at, learned more about those guys?
I mean, somewhat. I don't know if I've really studied it, you know, but I mean, you know, it's great to, you know, have guys, like I said in the past, you know, set that bar and that standard, and that's something you want to be a part of. So it's definitely pretty special to have that tradition like that at Purdue.
How much sort of personal responsibility do you feel this season? I know you were banged up times last season, getting into a new system and everything. Do you feel like your performance goes a long way towards what this team wants to do this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, that's why you choose quarterback as a position, you know. You know, everything starts with you, and, you know, if you're not on your game, then, you know, all odds are the play is probably not going to work out too much, especially because you touch the ball every play. So, you know, that's a responsibility that, you know, I know that I have, and you know, I chose it, you know. So, yeah, I mean, you know, you want to be prepared and go out there, and, you know, it's a big part on myself to go out there and lead my team to victory, no doubt.
What's the biggest thing that you learned about yourself that whole time in Texas and coming here, and how do you kind of use that to kind of just enhance yourself, and, you know, now that you're the guy here?
Yeah, I wouldn't change my experience, for anything. I've had quite a bit of ups and downs in my career, and ultimately I wouldn't be the player that in person, ultimately that I am today without those experiences. So, obviously, when it's happening at the moment, it's tough. It sucks. But what I've gotten out of it, is a whole lot that I've learned about myself and how to deal with those things. And so ultimately, I wouldn't change, anything. And all those experiences are just stuff that ultimately make me better.
What's it like to go from Coach Sark, an offensive guy, also the defensive coordinator Peter, then you have your coach here. Like, what's it been like? Obviously, just attacking the quarterback position from Sark to now. Obviously, you're a defensive head coach, but he understands the offense is going to be fast.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's just obviously two different places and two different experiences. And obviously you had Sark's offense, which is more pro style, and now in the air raid. So it's just more experience, and to be a part of two different systems, ultimately kind of have helped me learn both. And it's been cool to get to learn from both Sark and now Harrell and Walters.
How does it feel to be improving in kind of an improved Big Ten, a more competitive environment? I mean, just knowing that you don't get better in a vacuum, right? So you have to look around.
Yeah, like I said, I think as a competitor, you want to play the best, and being in the Big Ten gives you that opportunity. We have a tough schedule and we know that, but it's something that our guys have embraced, and we want that challenge. And again, like you play the best competition week in and week out in the Big Ten, so it's a great opportunity.
With a conference that's now stronger with the 4 West Coast schools that are in there, where do you feel like this Purdue team can fit into the league in terms of conference standings at the end of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to think too far in the future. Honestly, I try to take it day by day, but I know what our team is capable of, and ultimately it'll be up to us to go out there and prove it.
How big of an advantage is it for you to have a second year with a lot of the same coaching staff and players from a year ago?
Yeah, it's huge. You kind of start to make those steps going into year 2, and defensively, offensively, special teams. Now we'll all be year 2 under our belt, and so schematically it helps, but also it helps with the relationships that you build inside the building. So if you combine those two, typically you start to see a jump to year 2.
What do you think is the biggest key for your team to have the most successful season possible in 2024?
Yeah, I think some of the best teams that I've been a part of is you have that brotherhood in the locker room, and you play for one another, and I really do believe that goes a far way. And this is one of the tightest locker rooms that I've been a part of, so usually that's a good recipe.
Do you guys find it disrespectful that you were picked last in yesterday's media preseason poll?
I mean, like I said earlier, like I try to not think about that stuff too much, whether it's good or bad. Obviously you see it though, and it does add some fuel to the fire. And I know our guys in the locker room have seen it too, and it's something that we want to prove everyone wrong. And ultimately we're in it together in that locker room. So I mean, yeah, you see it, but whether it's good or bad, honestly, I try to just do my job at the best of my ability, and let things play out for itself.
Looking back for your
There's a lot of continuity coaching-wise.
Say that again?
There's a lot of continuity for you coaching-wise, but you're adding a consensus top 10 transfer class. What has really impressed you about those guys so far?
Yeah, they've just put their head down and worked. I think we've had a lot of good additions, for our team, and credit to Coach Walters and our coaching staff to, getting those guys and allowing them to come here and targeting not only great players but good teammates who fit our culture, and I think that goes a big way. So again, credit to Coach Walters, and those guys have been great so far.
How are you clicking with that trio of new wide receivers?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Our receiver room has a lot of depth this year, and you know, it looks a lot different than it did last year, but you know, those guys are going to make me look good on Saturdays, no doubt.
Have you done anything creative to kind of try to build that rapport with them? Is it just more reps? Is it anything you guys have been doing over the summer?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the more that you're around those guys, you know, the better it becomes. And, you know, just from getting extra reps, you know, talking through, watching film with them, you know, those are all things that, you know, help take that next step. So, you know, that's what we've been focusing on and just trying to get on the same page.
You said this is a tight locker room, but it's 37 new people. I mean, it's almost getting close to like half the roster turning over. How did that happen, and how did you have that much personnel turnover, but yet still kind of feel so coherent right now?
Yeah, I think, you know, the guys that we have returning, you know, are obviously super close. And then, you know, I think Coach Walters has done a great job at getting the new guys, you know, as much as he can to come in January. That way we get that whole off season with them, which makes a huge difference. So, I mean, even the new guys, you know, that got here, you know, we've been around them for months now. So we were able to, you know, start that relationship and, you know, try to get that culture, you know, involved with them. And it's been great.